Hello, hello. Derek here, priest at Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in Tequesta, Florida. And I am just wrapping some Christmas presents today. And I wanted to show you some of the things that I got from my coworkers. As many of you know, I love children's books. I have two children myself, an 8-year-old and a 1-year-old. And we read books together quite frequently, lots of times before bed at night. And as a priest and as a father, I'm always on the lookout for good children's books. And I've also been known from time to time to read children's books as part of my Sunday morning homily for adults, because I think that children's books, although they're made and created for children with children in mind, they have such a powerful way of simplifying a message or telling it in a beautiful, creative way that it can kind of pierce all of our hearts. And so, as a theme for Christmas gifts this year, I am giving each of my coworkers a children's book. I hope that they like that or don't take offense to the fact that I'm giving them something for children. But my hope is that that we can all kind of embrace our inner child and see the beauty of the gospel, of the message of God, the presence of God through the creativity and beauty of children's books. So I wanted to show you some of my favorite children's books. All of these are children's books about faith. I have other ones that are less about faith, but these are all about faith. And most of them, being an Episcopal church, most of them lean towards more inclusive imagery or inclusive words and ideas. And some of them kind of lean more liturgical in orientation. But I have some really great ones here. So let me just show you. Look, I've got huge stacks of books here. This is one of my stacks, and I've got more over here that I'll show you. So I won't show you everything in detail, but I'll at least show you. The first one here is called A Church for All by Gail E. Pittman and illustrated by Laure Fournier. I'm not great at pronouncing all of the names. And this book focuses on what church can look like. It's very simple words. Just Sunday waking, day is breaking. Let's go to our church for all. So very simple words, but the imagery here is quite inclusive and beautiful about what communities of church can look like, with young and old, with people of different colors, ethnicities, races, people of different genders and gender expressions, different kinds of families and parents and abilities. So this is just a beautiful book, I think, about what it means to be an inclusive church for all. And to go with it, there's another one called This is the Church by Sarah Raymond Cunningham, illustrated by Ariel Landy. This one is a poem based on kind of that idea that here's the church, here's the steeple, open the doors and see all the people, right? It's a poem that is kind of spinning off of that. But this one also, as you can see from the cover, has some wonderful diversity of what a church can look like, and many churches do look like, when people of different perspectives and backgrounds all come together. So this is another one that I really love. I'll open to some of the pages here. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful illustrations. I also have some great books here about the images of God. In fact, this next one is called Images of God for Young Children by Marie Helen Delval and illustrated by Barbara Nascimbeni. And this one is quite wonderful because every page has a different metaphor or image of God. So it says, God is night. Night can be scary sometimes because you can't see anything and because you can lose your way. Night requires you to be patient and to wait, believing that the day will always come again. God is the root. God is a covenant. God is mercy. So some beautiful imagery there. Going along with that, there's one of this, a book written by Rachel Held Evans, who is a beloved sort of post-evangelical writer who died too early in life. But she had begun writing a book, What is God Like? And I believe her friend Matthew Paul Turner and her husband had a hand in completing this book. And it too is a beautiful book that talks about the possibilities of what God is like, using images from scripture and images of experience. God is like a gardener, patient and nurturing. God plants, waters, weeds, and fertilizes the earth until every good thing on it seeks the nourishing sun and grows. So this is a beautiful book as well. And the illustrations of this book are by Ying Hui Tang. Speaking of images of God, I really love the image of God as mother. And I have some wonderful books here. This one is one of my all-time favorite books. It's called Mother God by Teresa Kim Pesanovsky and illustrated by Koa Lei. And this has some of the most beautiful illustrations I've ever seen. You know God the Father, but God is your mother too. You are made in her image. She is making all things new. And so it takes various images of God as mother, particularly images that come straight from Scripture. Let me see if I can find that all famous one here. God is a mother hen. Remember, I think it's Matthew, Jesus uses that image of being a mother hen. God is a mother hen who gathers chicks under her wings. She plays hide and seek in soft grass behind trees and quiet springs. Absolutely beautiful illustrations and beautiful imagery. I highly recommend this book. There's one that's somewhat similar to it that came out recently by Deneen Akers and illustrated by Jillian Gamble, and it's called Dear Mama God. Dear Mama God. And it too has some fantastic illustrations. And this one is really written less instructive, like the last one is more instructive. God is like this, God is like that. This one is more of a prayer. Thank you for rain that makes rainbows. Thank you for seeds that grow into plants. Thank you for trees, for birds to build nests in. Thank you for creeks that flow and grow. And I believe it's based off of this author, Deneen Akers, whose children often pray to God as Mama God. And so it's a really beautiful idea, beautiful prayer, beautiful book. Then I love music and I love hymns, and so I've got some beautiful versions of hymns put as books. So this one is the hymn, All Things Bright and Beautiful, and it's illustrated by Jean Claude. So you know that song, all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, and it goes on. So just fantastic illustrations. It's just gorgeous. I really love this one, Silent Night. The words are simply the words to the song Silent Night, the Christmas carol. but it's illustrated by Laura Hawthorne. And I don't want to give this one away. I don't have a copy for myself, but I think I need to buy one now for myself. It's just gorgeous. Really, really beautiful. And because the carol features a song of the night, the book itself is quite dark and highlights darkness as beauty. You can see it not only in the night sky in these books, but even in the beautiful colors of the character's skin in each of the illustrations. Absolutely beautiful book. I really, really love this one. This one is not quite a hymn, but it's called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon, and it's based off of St. Francis of Assisi's Canticle of Creatures, which has been turned into a hymn, All Creatures of Our God and King. It's reimagined and rewritten by Catherine Patterson and illustrated by Pamela Dalton. This is one that I've been reading to my children since they were born, particularly since Francis is one of my favorite saints. And it too has just these gorgeous illustrations. See, I wish I could just have these as paintings on my wall. These are just gorgeous. So that's the Canticle from St. Francis. Here's another one by Matthew Paul Turner, who co-wrote that one with Rachel Held Evans. This one is illustrated by David Catrow, and it's called When God Made Light. It's really beautiful. Matthew Paul Turner is a wonderful children's book author who has a number of books out, and the illustrations that he always includes in his books are fantastic. This book is about light. Here's a book about darkness, and darkness as something that's holy. God's Holy Darkness by Sheree Green and Becca Selnick, and illustrated by Nikki Faison. I'm sorry if I'm not getting those names, pronouncing those names correctly. And this just highlights lots of different places in Scripture where darkness is seen not as a threat or as an evil or as something bad, but as something good and holy and beautiful. Things like the disciples gathered with Jesus for the Holy Supper as the day turned to night. Darkness and blackness and night are too often compared to lightness and whiteness and day and found deficient, but let us name the beauty and goodness and holiness of darkness and blackness and night. That's how the book starts off, and it highlights the darkness that created at the creation of the world. It talks about the darkness of the sky that Adam looked up to look at those stars. It's a fantastic, beautiful book. Here is one by a New York Times bestselling illustrator, John Hendricks. It's called The Parables and Wisdom of Jesus. Go and do likewise. John Hendricks is known for his illustrations. They're fantastic. And so this is essentially a rewriting, not a full rewriting, but maybe a paraphrasing of many of Jesus's parables, including the parable of the Good Samaritan. And they are illustrated in a really beautiful way. Look how cool that is. Absolutely gorgeous. This is one of those illustrators that you could just look at the pictures for a long time, get lost in all of the little details alongside of these beautiful stories of Jesus. Go and do likewise. This book I've been giving to a lot of different people through the years, particularly those that love cats and those that love God. If you love God and you love cats, then this book is for you. It's called The White Cat and the Monk. And it's based off of an old medieval poem written by a Benedictine monk about a cat that was in his monastic cell. And he would talk about how he was doing his monastic work of praying and of studying and of writing, while the cat was doing the work of chasing mice and whatever else the cat was doing. So it's a real poem from the Middle Ages, and here it has been put into children's book form. Look at the monk holding the cat. Isn't that beautiful? Really cute. Here's another one called Wherever You Are. And it is simply the idea that God is wherever you are. It's by Glenys Nellist and illustrated by Cian James. And it just says where God is. God is in the whisper of the gently falling snow. God is in the daffodil as she begins to grow. God is in the leaves as they rustle way up high. God is in the ripples of the river running by, and so on. Really beautiful pictures too. A lot of this book is based in nature, all the different places in nature where you can see God. This one is also about nature. It's called I Am Earth's Keeper, but written by Lisa M. Hendy and illustrated by Giuliano Ferri. It is loosely based off of St. Francis as well, particularly in the way that it calls animals brother and sister. But it is also poetry that talks about the beauty of nature and the responsibility to care for and to protect it. This next one is called Candle Walk, A Bedtime Prayer to God by Karen Hulsinger Sherman. And it is a children's book based on Compline from the Book of Common Prayer. And so it's kind of a creative way to say nighttime prayers with your children. I know we have used this with our children before, among other books and other ways of praying at night. But it's a way of saying good night to God. I've got a few more for you. This one is called Moments with Jesus. And it's sort of a Bible, children's Bible, but it is a children's Bible that focuses on the Gospels. It's by Bill Johnson, Eugene Lunning, and illustrated by Kristen and Kevin Howdeshell. And what I love about this book is that it tells all of the gospel stories from a first person, or actually more of a meditative second person perspective. So it says things like, you are there and you see this, and you see that, and you see this, and you see that. So for example, chapter 1 is you are one of the shepherds and you experience the angels coming to announce the birth of the Christ child. And it begins, imagine lying on your back in the freshest, greenest grass. Overhead, the night sky spreads from edge to edge of your view. And then it continues to tell the story about what you see as a shepherd that night. So the illustrations are beautiful, but I'm always torn between closing my eyes and imagining as if it's a guided meditation and then actually looking at the beautiful illustrations. So this is a fantastic way to immerse yourself in the story of the Gospels. I have a lot of other children's Bibles. I've spent a lot of time analyzing different children's Bibles, children's illustrated Bibles. I have lots of opinions about that and which ones are the best. And I think I'm going to create another video sometime about children's Bibles. Here are a few of my favorite. There are some others that I don't have here, but these are just really, really great, more or less according to the various things that are important to me, at least. And so I'll make another video sometime about that. I think that's all. I have some other wonderful books here. Here is Through the Year with Tommy de Paula, which has a saint for various days. So this is something that my family looks at, and it has a beautiful little ribbon here so that you can keep track of whose saint day it is, and we get those beautiful illustrations from that classic writer and illustrator Tommy de Paula. And I have another kind of devotional book that I just found out about, Seasons of Wonder by Bonnie Smith Whitehouse, who gives us a year-long devotional series of weekly devotionals to do with your family, following the liturgical and the natural seasons of the year. And it looks fantastic. I'm so excited about this book. And then last, I already showed you one by Deneen Akers. This is another one of hers, Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints. And it goes through lots of different kinds of holy people and people of powerful insight that aren't, necessarily dead. Some of them are alive. Aren't necessarily Christian, aren't necessarily, deemed as saints, but still are just really wonderful people to learn from and be inspired by. Here, for example, is Mary Oliver, who did pass away not too long ago, and who was a local here, lived just up the road from us for at least a little while. But folks like her, Mary Oliver, Rumi, Thich Nhat Hanh, Francis of Assisi is in here, though. And there are lots of other folks. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers is in here. And many other people that are still living today. And it tells their life story. Rachel Held Evans, who I mentioned, passed away. And I showed one of her books here. So that's another great book. So I am going to wrap all of these and give them to my coworkers and hope that they find a little bit of beauty and joy in the simplicity and beauty and creativity of these stories about faith. Let me know what your favorite books of faith are. I would love to hear them and add them to my collection. And as I said, maybe in the future, I will come out with another video on children's Bibles, and maybe I'll spend more time looking at each one of these books separately rather than a 20-25-minute video going through all of them briefly. So happy Christmas. We'll see you later.